Yeah.
Okay, so we'll kick it off. So welcome to the CNCF governance working group of the tag contributor strategy. We're under the CNCF code of conduct, so be kind to each other. We do have a couple of things on the agenda. So starting with the backstage governance IRC. Hello, Victor. We're just getting started. So basically the TLDR on this is that Backstage has been talking for a while about improving their governance. And so they put some thoughts together in an issue and are looking for comments. So since none of the Backstage folks could join us because of the holiday in Sweden, what I would do is just encourage you to have a look at that issue and provide some feedback. And then hopefully we can get them into one of these meetings in the future and talk more about it. Anything else we want to say on that?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they based it on Envoy, so it's kind of quasi-federated.
Yeah, they based it on Envoy, and that's not working particularly well for them.
No.
I think is the situation.
Yeah. So.
Which is kind of what I had this conversation with a few of the folks at KubeCon, and kind of talked about some of the challenges with the Envoy model because it is very corporate. So it assumes that you've got like a group of people within your company who are contributing to this project. And that's not necessarily how most projects work. And I think as an individual who wants to contribute to a project, I am going to be kind of put off by that because, you know, if I'm the first person for my company, I'm not necessarily completely representing my company, and it's kind of a weird way to get engaged in an open source project. So I think they'll be better off basing it on some of the more modern like maintainer governance templates that we've put together. Anything else on that?
Yeah. Nope. So wow. Okay. Good write-up here. And yeah, and this is the sort of path that we're seeing a lot of projects, as you noted, Bill, also from Cilium and stuff, which is the path from a project that has a single company sponsor to wanting to become more diversified. You know, happens even with my employer. We're more used to it, but it's still a process, even if you were expecting it.
Yeah, and I think this is also one of the challenges that, you know, a lot of CNCF projects are facing is that they've kind of, in a lot of cases, based their governance on some random governance from one of the other CNCF projects before we had good templates for governance. And so I think that some of the projects are running into kind of similar challenges.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Okay. So the other thing we have is weekly tweet/promotions for the tag. We talked about how maybe Twitter isn't the best option for us. So I think there's people looking into some different options. But one of the things that we will need to talk about shortly is the survey blog, although I just saw a message from Chad that that's not going to go out until I think the 18th.
Yeah. So
probably not one for this week. Although realistically, a lot of people are still kind of on and off vacation. So I think it's not the end of the world if we don't have anything this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and we're also in this weird space where Twitter is of rapidly decreasing value as a method of outreach, and other methods have not really picked up yet. I briefly asked a couple of people. I need to about actually having a tag account on Mastodon. Since the CNCF is not ready to take official action on Mastodon yet, for all sorts of good reasons. The one place that I know that we can host it would be Floss Social, would be server. So, because Hachyderm doesn't permit sort of organizational accounts, and Fostodon has a huge random assortment of rules to the point where I really can't figure out what they permit and do not permit. So I just don't want to deal with it. But it's explicitly permitted on Floss Social. So I think I'm going to create an account. That's probably why I create it. I mean, we have my Jason server as well, but that's not actually probably a good location simply because there's only like 20 active people on it, so it doesn't provide any kind of organic discovery. Plus, who knows how long me and Jace are going to decide to keep running that server. Being on something bigger where there's more people would probably be a good idea. So if we talked about this in the general meeting, so I don't think I need any additional authorization to just go ahead and create the account. And then we can start putting stuff on it.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah. And then I'll go ahead and open up an issue for people to put suggested messages so we can just kind of rotate through. Unfortunately, none of the automated tools for posting on social media that I know of have yet picked up Mastodon. So this will be more of a when someone remembers to do it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else on the promotions?
No, it's about it. I guess one question would be if we want to put in there anything we might want to promote about governance. I kind of feel like at some point we want to put in well, actually this comes down to PRs, which is where need to merge the documentation on the original whatchamacallit PR.
Yeah, the maintainer governance template.
Yeah.
Okay, well, once we get that merged, let's do that as I think it would be good to promote the governance stuff, but also I agree it makes sense to wait until you get that PR merged, since that's realistically that's the most popular template that we have is the maintainer template.
Yep. Okay. Okay.
Plans for 2023.
Yep. So yep, I went ahead and I put it on there because we ought to have some. One thing is we need to finish documenting. So I guess documenting the so I mean some of these things we already have issues for. Yeah, so I don't know if you would be able to find time for the steering template.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Because you've done the other two. I can certainly pick up.
Yeah. Well, and I did both the other two for the obvious reason, which is, you know, I had a project that wanted to use them and was asking questions. So so we just need to get the other one merged, which we'll get to in PRs. And accompanying the sort of template documentation, one of the things we already have as a tracking issue is to write an advisory document about sort of a generalized how to run a steering election based on our experience with a bunch of projects. So for one thing, it would be good if the method of how to run a steering election stopped being Slack Dawn and Josh and see if they can do it.
Yes, we need to scale Dawn and Josh on elections for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It also gets increasingly weird to have us run elections for projects that we have no involvement in.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody's going to do that, it honestly ought to be a CNCF staffer. One of the other things actually to follow up with that is and I should open an issue for this.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Is that it's about, we've worked out enough of the bugs, although I know about an existing outstanding bug that I need to fix, that that we should have a CNCF, we should have CNCF hosted Electo for projects that want to use it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that would be really good. The other thing that we need to follow up on is the governance reviews for graduated projects.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right, because I introduced that and got no comments on it.
Yeah,
which was kind of expected in December. Would you mind replying to that and letting people know that it's there?
Yep. Yeah, I'll do that.
So, because the lack of comments, I think, probably indicates to me that lack of comments and lack of attendance at that particular meeting, I think, says to me that most of the TOC has not even seen the fact that we're proposing that officially.
Yeah. Well, and I think, in the rush up to the holidays, everybody's busy preparing for other things and not necessarily paying attention. So what I'll probably do is I'll actually wait and poke on that again on Monday. So we'll get through this week, and then I'll bump that up so that people see it.
Okay. So I guess the question is, these are all sort of fill-in things. Well, not fill-in things, adding a formal review, because the other thing that'll do is if the TOC says yes, then we're going to actually need a document for how we do that review. I mean, we both already pretty much, since we've unofficially done several of these, we pretty much know, but if it's going to be an official part of the process, there should really be a doc for it.
Yeah.
For one thing, who knows? Maybe someday we'll actually recruit additional leadership for the tag itself.
That would be good.
Because one of the things somebody was pointing out is that we have this unofficial rule in the CNCF that we're supposed to rotate chairs for after a couple of years, and we did a good job with bringing you on.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still chair, and we don't currently have a good candidate to replace me.
Yeah, well, we brought Catherine on too, so that was good. So we've been gradually bringing people on, but we do need. Yeah.
And particularly Catherine came on with the condition that she wasn't going to do certain stuff. Yeah. So I can't step down on that basis.
Yeah. And she provides a good balance to our skills, but if you left, we would need someone to balance our skills in the direction.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
How this works. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to add that.
Yeah. So I mean, actually, really, and in the case of this particular working group, is trying to find somebody else who's actually interested in the governance piece of things.
Yeah.
Which again might be stuff to promote, particularly after we have our own social media channels, to see whether or not there's somebody out there. Because I don't think, you know, one of our problems with our sort of non-code contributor pool with the CNCF is even more so than the code contributor pool, who are already very difficult to reach. We really can't reach the non-code pool
Mhm.
because there's no
And
good way to pull up a list of names.
yeah, and to be fair, governance is kind of a niche topic, and there aren't a lot of people that are interested in and or have the depth of experience that we do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if somebody cared enough and was willing to learn the material, anybody can get up to speed.
Yeah, for sure.
The difficulty is finding somebody who cares enough. I haven't missed the fact that most of the talks on open source project governance being given at the various free software conferences are given by one or the other of us. So the
Yeah. All right, I'll think about that a bit.
yeah.
See if
So
there's anybody that we can kind of target to bring on.
yeah. Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Issues and PRs. I think we probably actually just covered all of the open issues. The there's the one of a much quicker thing for one of us to do as a PR, even a potential new person if we had anybody volunteering for this working group, is to go through all of the older advisory docs and make sure that they link to the templates where appropriate.
Yeah.
Because we have a bunch that predate the templates and thus they don't link to them. Yeah, one of the things that's going to be painful because we need to coordinate a halt to it is fixing the directory tree for the template documentation. Because Carolyn basically put it all under this directory called GitHub,
Yes.
which she later on had realized was a mistake. But the problem is that, like any other reorg, we have to halt all PRs and flights if we're going to move it.
Mm-hmm.
So also the other problem is that we haven't decided what it should be called. Yeah, if not GitHub. I mean, GitHub is obviously a terrible name, but the
Yeah.
so those are the two things that are kind of held us up in that. But the more content that we have online, the more painful it's going to be to move that. So we should probably do something about it soon.
Yeah. And, sorry, just thinking, going back to scrubbing the docs and linking to the templates. We probably want to wait until we have the how-to docs sorted out so that we can link to the how-to docs instead of the templates directly.
Oh, good point. Well, actually, at least for ours, I stubbed all the how-to docs.
Okay.
So we can link to those now. It's just that there's docs in there that just say, see the template.
Okay.
But that's a way to get ahead of that without needing to wait on it.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good.
So,
also that's good to know because then I can start from your stuff and I'm not gonna start from scratch.
Yeah, well, like in the case of the governance documentations, I needed to put in a branching doc, one that says, hey, governance, look at one of these 3 docs. And so to have that, I needed to have the stubs. So
cool.
It's there. And we could go ahead and stub out any other templates that haven't been stubbed out by somebody else. Because like I don't think there's a stub for contributor ladder. I mean, contributor ladder is both us and contributor growth. Carolyn said that they were working on the contributor ladder, but I haven't seen anything.
Okay.
And everything else we already covered.
Okay. Is there anything
Okay,
else?
for issues. Yeah, for PRs, let me see what is standing in the way of merging maintainer council governance. Okay, that got fixed. Oh, that is not fixed. And that is apparently not fixed. Okay. It's honestly just a couple of typos still
Mhm.
left. So it looks like I could finish that off. Are you gonna be working tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be around.
Okay. Okay, so if you can take a look at the PR tomorrow and maybe merge it.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
And then
Is
we'll have that done.
Is Carolyn gonna be around?
I don't know, but she's already given a whole bunch of feedback on it. So
Yeah, but here's the thing.
oh, for the renaming.
If Carolyn's not online, I don't like to merge things to the website. Just in case something terribly bad happens.
Oh, okay.
I don't expect it, but I just, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me go ahead. Let's see. Did she happen to put a vacation notice? No, she just marked herself as away, but did not put dates on it.
Okay.
Fair. Yeah, and probably if she's still on vacation, we should merge it into the website. Okay, I just messaged her to see.
Okay. So I can merge it as long as she's around if something goes terribly wrong, but. Okay. Anything else we need to cover?
I had a question actually.
Sure.
In issue number 30, like I actually commented in the issue. I think it was updated in the TOC. Like Emily made a PR. Yeah, I can drop the link to that. I was just looking through issues.
Hold on, I'm looking for. Oh, end user promotion criteria. Yeah, so we can probably close this. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the other one, I guess, is it still relevant, do you think, about the multi-org requirements for graduated projects? It's number 29. Because
yeah, and we need to actually follow up with the TOC to find out whether or not it's still relevant. The original problem we ran into the last TOC was that they actually did not want to move forward with any kind of clarification.
okay.
The current TOC is much more interested in clarifying things, but then there have been changes to the rules too. The so the question is really where we want to go with that. And that would be a question for the TOC, because this ended up on our list to begin with around the formation of the tag, because the TOC at the time wanted us to take a look at it. But then we proposed a set of new rules, and they're like, "Oh, we don't want to have lots of documentation." We're like, "Okay, well then, what are we doing?" And
Okay.
and we have a new and different TOC now, so we should find out what they want.
Okay.
And if I remember correctly, this one generated an awful lot of discussion.
Yeah.
Not necessarily productive discussion, but there
Yes.
was a lot of discussion about this
Yeah.
topic.
Okay.
Let's just say some people cared passionately about what the rules for this specifically would be, frequently based on the circumstances of their individual project,
Yeah, of course.
which was not helpful for creating a generalized set of rules.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the one clarification we did get, which should really go into an official CNCF document somewhere, was what the general goals of this requirement were, which was to demonstrate that the project was open to new contributors and, importantly, to decrease the chances that the CNCF would end up holding the bag for project maintenance. Because as long as all your maintainers are from one organization, there's always the chance that something would happen to that organization.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, pretty much the certainty over time. So the and that ought to be spelled out somewhere, because it actually affects how people approach the issue
Mm-hmm.
of what's considered sufficient multi-organizational representation, because the okay. So let me put a note there. Of course, we're about to have TOC elections again pretty soon, huh?
Yep.
I think they're open right now.
Yeah, I just saw the email from Amy.
Oh, right. Yeah, they had a Q&A this morning.
Yeah, I think it's actually right now. I think it was at the same time as this meeting.
Oh yeah.
Me-
Okay. Oh
Or
no,
the hour
no, we
before.
don't have anybody here. The well, fortunately for us as tag chairs, we are ineligible to run for the TOC. So
It
mhm.
makes it easy.
Yep. Victor,
I'm
did you have anything?
also seeing how much work that is, and so no.
For as long in my life as I can avoid ever doing a sandbox review, I will. The
Yeah,
so
I have just been attending different open source community meetings outside of the even Linux Foundation. So I would definitely see CNCF is well run. So once I think you told me to review the governance policy, I'll be honest, it looks perfect. So I think it's a lack of in-depth knowledge about the governance model and open source community that's probably preventing me from really reviewing it effectively. So one thing I do very well is read pretty fast and compare different so there's a government model for different community, right? So I guess a question for you, Josh. So what do you think, if there's any reviewing even needed, considering CNCF has been doing so well, so successful? So what should be reviewed to take a second look? Even it's almost perfect, I think.
wait.
So if
What
I
do
compare the governance model of CNCF versus some other older foundation, open source foundation,
Mhm.
right? So which area should I even look into to see that need to be reviewed, the
Yeah.
government policy?
Hold on, this is my first day back from the holidays, so I'm trying to remember why you were doing this review again.
I think it was just a new document. You just say, can you take a look and give any suggestion? And I take a look.
Right.
Yeah.
No. So the big thing there is just to help people understand how the CNCF is run, not necessarily to change anything about the CNCF, but people come from having worked on projects elsewhere, and like they say, expect the CNCF to operate like the Apache Foundation, and it doesn't quite.
So, okay, so basically, when I read it, if I read the Apache Foundation's governance policy, for example, is this clear? Like things like that, right? Is it very clear to me what to follow? What's the governance model, etc.?
I think part of it, Victor, was that having someone take a look at it who had never looked at it before, you might be able to suggest maybe some things that were unclear in the wording of the templates. You know, maybe some things that you didn't quite know what we meant. And this would give us an opportunity to fix some things based on, you know, because Josh and I have been involved in CNCF projects for a long time, and they're just things that we take for granted. Whereas somebody who's relatively new to the CNCF like you are, will sometimes find things and notice things that maybe we could improve, just like maybe improve the wording, maybe provide some additional explanation for what we mean by something. So if I remember correctly, I think that's the sort of feedback that Josh was kind of looking for.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Not up to speed. It was actually, yeah. So it was more of, and the reason for looking at outside things is to say, hey, you know, project X has this in their governance, and we don't cover that in the template at all.
Oh,
and there
okay,
might be a good
makes
reason
sense,
for
yeah.
that, but there might not be a good reason for it. And whether or not there is a good reason for it, if its absence is intentional, that should be covered in our docs.
Okay, that makes sense. Actually, that's interesting. I'll
Yeah.
take that as a project,
Yeah.
since I'm open still free right now. So I'll do is I'll just read
Yeah.
other open source community governance documents. So as an outsider and even new to open source, actually,
Yeah.
if I want to be part of it, what kind of rules or
Right.
government I need to follow, and
Yeah.
see anything. Okay, I know what to look for now. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
So,
Is there anything else we need to cover today? Okay. Well, I think we're all set. So thanks everybody for joining us, and hope to see you in future meetings and in the Slack channel.
Cool.
Bye, everybody.
bye.
Thanks.